Welcome to episode number 610. Today is September 20th. It is a Monday, and we have a metal master coming to you today. A king of the guitar, a guest I've been trying to have on for 10 years, and he is here, finally, Mr. Zakk Wylde. I've been watching Zakk Wylde for most of my life, and this man, in my eyes and ears, is the guitar player for Ozzy. Jakey, fantastic. Randy Rhoads, of course, legend. But once Randy's gone and Jakey's gone, there has not been a better fit than Zakk Wylde. This man has crushed it standing on the side of Ozzy for years on and off. Starting out with the legendary No Rest for the Wicked record, just killing it out of the gate with Miracle Man. Immediately you're like, who's this guy with the bullseye guitar? By the time we get to No More Tears and the smashing No More Tears song, oh my God, remember that video came out? It was like, what is this? And Mr. Tinker Train, Mama, I'm Coming Home, great Lemmy co-wrote that. There it was. He had solidified his spot as a rock and roll guitar playing god, which is almost impossible to do when you're talking about Randy and Jake. So, an unknown out of New Jersey crushes it, and here he is, years later, a master of metal. It was great to have him on. I just love talking to him. I've been in love with this man's playing for years, and of course, I was a huge fan of his band Pride and Glory. And it was great to sit down and talk to Zakk about Pride and Glory and the new Black Label Society record coming out and what the future holds for Ozzy and all of that stuff. His guitar company, Wild Audio, just a great day. A great day. Look, last week we had the great Jerry Cantrell. Now we got Zakk Wylde. Unbelievable. I have got something for you guys. I know you love leather. If you're listening to this show, you probably enjoy a good leather jacket. Well, Standard and Strange and myself have come together to give away an incredible leather jacket for free. Just go to standardandstrange.com/Delray and throw your email down, and we're going to do a live drawing here on September 30th. They're not going to sell your email. They're not doing any of that shit. Just go on standardandstrange.com/Delray, jump in your email, and you could be winning a free leather jacket. Also, tour dates are up. New tour dates are all over the place. DeanDelRey.com. I've got Vegas coming up. I've got San Jose coming up. Bend, Oregon. Portland, Oregon, Des Moines, all kinds of good shows. Get on the website, DeanDelRey.com, and check out the merch page while you're there. I got a bunch of new merch up. We've refreshed the page. We've made some more shirts. They sold out lightning speed, so there they are. The Del Rey Perry Shawl shirt, the Gertie hoodie is available, and the Dark Fonzie and the black t-shirt version is available. Don't forget about patreon.com/DeanDelRey. A lot of new Patreoners out there. I want to thank them all. So great to have you guys on board. Dustin Havinga, thank you for joining on. You know, there's 111 bonus episodes, and you can also get in on the Zoom Fest every week, which we did a great one last night. Little Zoom Fest where you can hang out with me on Zoom for an hour a week. How can you go wrong? Patreon.com/DeanDelRey. All right. Looking forward to seeing you guys out in those comedy clubs. I'm out there grinding away, writing this new material, trying to get funny. Hoping to see your faces. I love all you. Thank you, Zakk Wylde, for kicking ass and being an inspiration to me for many years. Here he is right here. Black Label Society's own Zakk Wylde. Zakk Wylde. How the fuck are you?
What are you doing, man? Just hanging out. Just hanging out, talking with you, getting ready to, I guess, go hit the iron den. And then after that, probably paint my nails and then make sure my eyelashes match my rouge. That's about it, brother. What are you doing?
Dude, do you remember me?
I'm trying to think. Where from?
Oh, man, we go way the fuck back. Here's where we go.
Was it George Ketchum's kitchen keg party back in 1985, 1984?
Close. It's more like, I think it's around late, maybe early 90s. I get a call from a guy, says Zakk Wylde has a band together called Leonard Skinhead and wants to do a run through California. I said, I'll book that and my band will open. And you and I went on the road for like 5 nights and it was fucking insane.
Were we partaking in adult beverages at that moment?
Well,
were we drinking Shirley Temples? I'm not sure.
I'll give you a great story. And I told it to Blasco when he was on. You and I were backstage one night and you said, you got some fucking guns on you right there. And I go, yeah. I'm the arm wrestling championship of the world. And you fucking right now. And you throw everything to the side and we put them up and we arm wrestle, man. And there's some people behind you going like, don't do it. And I'm like, oh, they think I'm going to lose. So I win. And you go crazy, dude. Motherfucker, now we're fighting. What the fuck? And you slam me into the wall. And the other side of the wall is the club owner's office. And he comes in, he goes, get the fuck out of here. And dude, it was such a fucking wild night. And then that was the start of the tour. And you and I went out and fucking rocked it for 5 nights all over California. And it was an incredible run, man.
Oh, yeah, it was a blast, man. Well, that's good. Well, good to talk to you again, man. So how you been?
I've been great. I played music for 25 years and then became a stand-up comedian and podcaster for the last 10 years. But I've followed your career. I've seen you a million times. I go way back with Mike Varney. And I've seen you since day one of Ozzy. So it's cool, great, man. Great to have you on. I've been trying to have you on for 10 years.
Wow, man. Well, it's great catching up with you, brother.
Now, I wanted to always ask you this because after we did that run, of course, you signed that Geffen deal and you put out Pride and Glory. And you were way into Southern sound. And I love Skynyrd and Eagles. And I love Marshall Tucker and all that. And the Pride and Glory drops, and I think it's it's a masterpiece record, man, out of your catalog. I love it. Shine On, nice, Losing My Mind. What made you ditch that sound after that record?
Well, I mean, we did that record. We had a blast making the record, me, J-Mo, and Bry, when we went up to Seattle and made the record. We had, an ass-kicking time when we made the record. So all I remember is we toured behind it for a bit. When we came back, then I remember Oz called me up and was just like, Zachy, we're going to record this other record. So that's when we went in the studio and we did Osmosis. And I remember we had a blast making that because we were in New York for a while. Then we were in Paris for a bit. And it was more comedy. Just like more drinking the whole time. It was just hilarious. So we had a great time making that one. And then with Michael Beinhorn and everything and Dean Casanova and all the guys. So, and Geese was on that one. So that was a lot of fun. And then the Geffen thing kind of, when it was, it just came to an end because Geffen was moving around. John Kolodner left. And I'm like, I'm damaged goods at that point. You know what I mean? It's just because they were getting rid of all the bands at that point, that right. Kolodner had signed. Jackal had just sold another, they had another gold record and they were dropping them. Wow. Regardless whether you don't like them or whatever, I'm just saying if we sign them, I go, this band they're making us money. You know what I mean? But business is business. And they were just like, that's it. They're going to, which is crazy. So, but it is what it is. It's just no hard feelings. It's business, So I had nothing going on. And I remember the whole time when we were doing Osmosis, there was a bar named Brews. And it was right next to the hotel we were staying out in 34th and Lexington. I remember when we were in New York City, when we were tracking. And every night after we got done tracking, I'd end up going me and you would go bar hopping, and we were going drinking all night and stuff like that. And then we'd end up in Brews, and they'd end up staying till 5 o'clock in the morning, close the doors, and we'd be drinking there all night, hanging out. And the jukebox was awesome. They had like Exile on Main Street, Bob Seger records, Neil Young, Eagles. I mean, everything was on this jukebox. I mean, just all this amazing ass kicking stuff. So I remember I'd go back to my room afterwards, and I'd end up I had my acoustic guitar there, and I'd end up writing all this stuff, so after listening to the jukebox all night. And then with all that stuff, eventually just became Book of Shadows. Wow. When I did that, so it was just kind of like Pride and Glory had its run so I made this record, and that was it. And then when the Geffen deal ended, it was like, all right, well, what am I going to do? Because that was 96. And I'd like 97, I'm floating around going, I'm not ready to be a singer-songwriter guy. You know what I mean? I'm not ready to be, just to become Neil Young or Jackson Brown or, just a singer-songwriter or James Taylor type thing. So I was just like, and I love the mellow stuff, but I mean, I was just like, I don't want to do it like full time yet because I still wanted to jam riffs. So I remember I went down to Florida and I met Phil, and me and Phil went down to Phil Ondich. We went down to Florida. Howard and Ron Albert, who had worked with me on the Book of Shadows record, we went down to Florida, and I got a deal from Japan to do the record. And that's when Black Label was born. And originally, I was figuring out what I was going to call the band. It was like Hell's Kitchen, and then Black Label, and then the Black Label. I was just thinking of things, and then Black Label Society. I ended up coming up with that, and then we did the album down there. And once again, me and Phil had a blast making that record, and that was and then it started all over again. And it was just from the ground up again. I mean, it was just kind of like. Because I was playing with Guns N' Roses at the time too. Because I was jamming with Guns while we were doing Osmosis, and playing with Oz, and then and then that fell through the cracks, and it was kind of like, well, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? It was just I had these riffs laying around, and I was like, I'll just do Black Label. You know what I mean? I had these riffs laying around, like you said, and I still wanted to do heavy stuff. So, like the first actual song I wrote with Black Label, I was sitting in a hotel room in Japan at the time doing press or something. And I wrote Spoken the Wheel. That was like the first Black Label song. So it was a mellow song. But then it started with the heavy stuff. And so here we are 23 years later. But, it started off great, playing in front of 8 people in a bar and grill with 4 people playing pool and 4 people looking at us while we're playing. You know what I mean? So it started from there to, until, the last tour we were at Royal Albert Hall. You know what I mean? In England. So, but yeah, just grinding and you got to put in the work, man. Well, you know how it is. I mean, you're doing a comedy thing now. So, it's not going to happen unless you get out there and do it.
You're so right. You're so right.
You just got, because there is no secret formula. You got to put in the work.
There's no back door. There's no back door, man. There's no, people always come up to me and they go, dude, you got somewhere pretty quick in a 10-year period. How do you do it? And I go, well, I've done 5,000 shows. I've done open mics. I podcasted every day of my life. And then during the day, I write all day and I go out all night. And then when I tell them that, they just go, oh, and they just leave. They're hoping I'm going to be like, you suck to this one dick. And then you're rolling, and it's they don't understand. We're here for the life. We're lifers. We're here. This is what we do. It's in us.
Yeah. And I mean, and nothing. And at the end of the day, when you really look back on it, the 10 years of you doing it, you had fun while you were doing it anyways.
Great.
Regardless whether you were playing in front of, you were doing stand up and you were like, Zakk, there was like nobody there, bro. I mean, you're like, if there was 8 people there, Zakk, that's being kind.
Yeah.
And, now you're doing a room where there's, you're just at the comedy club and it was sold out. You know what I mean? Where you're just like, it was a Friday night and it was packed and you were like, Zakk, it was great. So, I mean, but you still had just as much fun the whole 10 years, because you're building the empire. You know what I mean? So I was just told, JD, we were just talking about like, kids going to school and this and that, and what, because not everybody knows what they want to do. Like you didn't know you wanted to be a comedian until, you were doing music when we were rolling, doing the, the Pride and Glory and Skinhead thing and all this other stuff. So, I mean, like if we would have known, because I've known JD since right before Ozzy, I said, if we would have known about Black Label then, and you had a focus and a direct, then we would have just started doing it right from there. But you don't know, you know what I mean? So, but just the build and everything like that to where we're at now, I wouldn't change any of it. You know what I mean? Even as it, because it really is the truth, because it took all that stuff for me and you to get to where we're at right now, talking right here. So,
yeah, that's amazing. I think about the full circle I've had with people on here. Like I named the show Let There Be Talk. And then this year I interviewed AC/DC, my favorite band ever. And so the full circle shit, you and I, dude, we played War Pigs together. I'll tell you a funny ass story. So you were doing War Pigs in the set, and we're at the Stone in San Francisco, and you go, come up and sing War Pigs. And I go, yeah, cool. No problem. I come on, dude, you were playing. It was the first time I had heard something that loud on stage that I walked on. I was like, down, and I was like, oh fuck, I can't hear it all. So I sang the whole song like flat because it was just vibrating me wrong. And Mike Varney goes, yeah, nice and flat up there the whole song. Way to go!
Yeah, listen, it was consistently flat. Okay. Now, so don't tell me there was any flat. It was, I meant that because it was consistent.
I sang flat the whole time. I was so embarrassed, but to sit down and talk to you here all these years later, man, your playing has had a massive impact on me, and your songwriting and the No More Tears, and you come from the same world as I do, of the 70s, of Frank Marino, Pat Travers, Robin Trower. These dudes that were filling arenas when we were growing up were mind-boggling. The guitar was totally God. I mean, Frank Marino, get the fuck out, man. That guy's sick. Ted Nugent, No,
all the stuff. I mean, it was really, the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, like me and JD were just talking about. But I mean, like the musicianship, and I mean, like even the studio cats. I mean, like even all you got to do is even listen to like yacht rock.
Oh, love it.
And
love it.
I mean, you listen to yacht rock. I mean, anywhere from Player, like Baby Come Back, down like all the stuff like that, and then down to Hall and Oates, down to anything in yacht rock. The cats that are playing on those records are all you don't know who any of these guys are, but like the musicianship on those records is like like Steely Dan stuff. I mean, it's just like it's staggering how good it is.
That Steely Dan shit is mind-boggling, and songwriting.
Yeah, without a doubt, the songwriting and like you said, the performances and the skill of the musicians back then was really, really stellar.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I love dudes like you because I can see some of the influence later on in guys that I love now, like Marcus King. I think that this guy is an absolute god, and there's a key thing to guitar playing. You could burn it up all you want. I always tell people, who cares? Does he have a song? And once you get into Ozzy and you start writing these tunes, they're unbelievable, And like I said, the Pride and Glory, these are great, great songs. So not only could you burn it up on the guitar, but you understood the power of a great song.
Well, yeah. I think all the artists we love, when you're going to see when Zeppelin is filling out stadiums in the 70s, everyone wants to go hear Jimmy Page tear it up and the violin bow solo and the whole night. But you're going there it's the songs, for every drumming fan that was there, and then for everybody that loves Robert's voice and all the bass players and the guitar players that are, not everybody there is a musician. Everybody, people that are going there, it's like, I don't even play an instrument. I just love Led Zeppelin. You're going there, and not, like when everyone was going to see Ozzy with Randy, it's like not everybody there is a guitar player. They're going because the songs are great and they love Ozzy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, and Randy's the ice, he's the cherry on the cake. You know what I mean? So same thing with Van Halen. Like when everyone's going to see Van Halen, it's just like, it's King Edward and he's going to blow your mind and everything. But it's the songs, man.
Did you ever get into Jerry Garcia? Because I didn't like him growing up. I grew up in San Francisco Bay Area, and I was like, hippie stuff. And now I absolutely love him. Did you ever check out his playing? Because it's pretty wild.
No. My buddy that I grew up with, Scotty, his older brothers were all huge Deadheads and stuff like that. But But no, I never, like Alabama Getaway, and then like the hit songs like trucking, da
Yeah.
da da da, like all that stuff. The hit songs I knew, but I mean the amazing thing with the Dead is it's what they created. I mean it's bigger than the music. It's just like this living, breathing thing. I mean that's where you gotta give props to the Dead. I mean you don't even have to be a fan of the music, or you're just oh no, I don't mind a couple songs here and there, but it's just that empire that they created. And it's a community. I mean, it really brings people together and everything like that. So, it's bigger than a band, which is a great thing.
It's like your fans, man. They wear the vest and they're all in. You've got a community on your own, which you've built, which is amazing. Outside of Ozzy, you have
which I always thought was which is kind of like the Dead in regard that the way Black Label was built, and that it's bigger than me. You can meet somebody in a bar, and because he's got a Black Label shirt on or something, then you start talking or whatever, and then next thing you know, 9 years later, he's the best man at your wedding. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just like, where'd you guys meet? It's like, Zakk, we were going to a gig, and then we hooked up, and then we've been friends ever since. So, and then then they, like you said, especially with social media nowadays, you can keep in touch with everybody all over the world. So there's people that road trip it to gigs that, people from the Boston chapter hook up with friends from the Detroit chapter, and like they road trip it and go to gigs. We're going to stay over at Frank's house while we're there or whatever. And it's just like, and the band brought them together. You know what I mean? But it's just like, it like kind of like the Dead, and you just keep in touch with each other forever.
Yeah.
But the band brought you together, though. It's definitely cool.
In your early days, we're at that age where Charvel hits, and of course Eddie Van Halen, and then all the guys from the Strip are playing Charvels, and you came out with the Bullseye Les Paul. But in the early days, did you have a Charvel? Were you into that?
Oh, I mean, obviously Randy, when he had the Jackson, we were like, what's a Jackson? You know what I mean? It was just because the big guys in town were Gibson and Fender. You either have a Strat or a Les Paul, and then the other or a BC Rich is cool, and stuff like that. I mean, it's even before Paul Reed Smith. So, but the BC Riches were always cool because they had the cool shaped guitars and everything like that. But no, but the Jacksons too. I mean, and that's when Jackson started coming in there, and then Eddie always had the Kramers. He put them on the map, and then but it was definitely an exciting time for guitar because you had all these new boutique kind of guitars coming in, because at that point, really the only two guys in town, the Coke and Pepsi, were Fender and Gibson.
Yep.
And, then you had the little guy was BC Rich, you know what I mean? Where, you had certain guys playing it going, oh man, he's playing a BC Rich or whatever. So, but it was definitely a cool time, because I know one of the guys I do work with, Mike, that ends up building, my buddy John, who builds the prototypes for Wild Audio. John was there when all the San Dimas stuff was coming, with all the Charvels, the Jacksons. He was there in the plant during the beginnings of all the guys. And then Dan Lawrence, who actually does a lot of the paint stuff for me, the paint jobs and everything like that with Black Label, with my guitars, with Wild Audio, like Protos or something like that. Dan, he has GMP guitars, but Dan, back then, he was working for Charvel, and he all these guys kind of went off to do their own things, almost kind of like, they were all guys under Bill Walsh and, all these head coaches. And then they all went out, and then, now they're with the Packers, the Giants, the Cowboys or whatever. They all branched off of, it was definitely pretty cool, but they all came from like that San Dimas, Charvel, Jackson thing. And then they all just branched out and did their thing. But it was definitely a very exciting time for guitar and builders.
So did you have a Charvel at first, or did you always go Gibson?
No, never. I always had my Gibsons. You know what I mean? Because, Jimmy Page played one, then obviously Randy, and then, seeing all the guys from the 70s, whether it was Thin Lizzy, Gary Moore, or whatever, I always, you'd always see guys with a Les Paul. So, but I always loved the customs just because I love the weight of them. I love the ebony fretboard. And then, the other ones with the maple necks, the customs with the maple. But I always like the customs were it for me. All those standards, I love them too. But I love them all. But I mean, but my favorite, if I was just going to stick with one, Desert Island, it would have been the custom.
Hold on a second, Zakk. I got to do a quick read. All right, I know a lot of you guys out there probably play guitar, bass, drums. A lot of musicians tune into this show, or maybe you're not a musician and you've just need some kind of help with joint ache or muscle ache, or you've got anxiety, all of that. Well, it's time to try CBD Lion. CBD Lion, the best CBD on the planet. 100% third-party tested, family-owned. None of that truck stop bullshit. Get yourself some clean CBD. This stuff works. I use it all the time, mostly every day. I'm always on the tinctures when I get a little anxiety or trouble sleeping. And I use the topical lotions on my neck and lower back. CBDlion.com has a massive selection of great products. They've got the gummies, the edibles, the tinctures, the topicals. They even have pet CBD. I give it to my little Gertie. She loves it. Check it out. Use the code DEAN for 20% off. This is clean, organic CBD. No bullshit right here. Get yourself CBDlion.com and help yourself right away. Start feeling better, sleep better, get rid of that anxiety, get off the big farm and use some organic, good, clean CBD. CBDlion.com. Use the code DEAN. It helps you. It helps the show. It helps a great, great company. Thank you. Let's get a little bit. I'm sure you told the story a million times, but I never really heard it. And I've had a lot of people on here that have auditioned for Ozzy, which was amazing. I've had Jake on a few times and we're old friends. And what was that like? I didn't understand. I thought Barney had set up that audition and Mike was like, no, I didn't do that. Somebody else did. But what was that like? And I mean, I saw you in the first run and everything. You were a young kid from Jersey, and there you are in the biggest band in the world. But what was the actual audition like? 3 songs, you're out of there, or what happens?
Yeah, no, I ended up, when they flew me out, I met, Phil, Suzanne, and Randy Castillo. When I walked in the room, the guys were great to me. It made me feel super comfortable and everything like that. And so, then we ended up playing like Bark at the Moon. We ended up playing, I don't know, I think Suicide Solution. And then we just hung out for a while and then, hung out. And then I remember they flew me home, and then I guess I made the short list, and then they flew me back. And then, because I guess, just to go through everybody, so Ozzy doesn't have to sit in a room, just like kind of like Phil, Randy, just whittle it down to the guys that you think are the guys, and then I'll come down there and check them out. So, but when I finally went back the second time is when, I met Ozzy. So, just like, last time I saw Ozzy was when I went to the Bark at the Moon tour, and I saw Ozzy with Jake, and Motley Crue opened up. And I remember, probably where we seeing at the Garden, maybe, so going in there, and I was thinking, I'm like going, oh my God, it's Ozzy, it's just, but I remember it was so funny because Ozzy was like, have I met you before? And I was like, well, unless he saw me under the mezzanine, you know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, he's looking at me, like we were in the back upper deck or whatever. But the whole thing is, Ozzy, it was funny because Ozzy said when he looked back on it, he goes, no, the reason why I kept thinking, like, have I met you before? He goes, Zakk, out of all the boxes and cassettes and pictures, your picture was the only one I remember. It was like on a kitchen counter. And I looked at it and I said, oh, wow, this kid must really love Randy Rhoads. And he goes, that's all I thought about it. I was just like, oh, cool. Look at him. And he goes, good for him. So, and Ozzy goes, that's where I remember seeing you from, that picture. I was just like, all right, he must really love Randy Rhoads. So, which I do. So, but the whole thing is, and that was it. But I remember Ozzy was just like, I crapped my pants, met Ozzy, he just goes, Zakk, just play with your heart and definitely go change your trousers and then make me a ham sandwich and go light on the Coleman's mustard. Don't let it overpower the taste of the sandwich. So I've been making ham sandwiches and going light on the Coleman's for over 30 years now. So
I love it, man. I love it. I know you're a big Sabbath fan, of course, so am I, but I'm really a giant Dio era Sabbath. Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules are masterpieces to me. And I think it was one of the greatest things that ever happened. We have Ozzy kicked out, so we get Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell. We get Diary of a Madman, and we get Blizzard of Oz. This is one of the most mind-boggling things to me of all time. 4 masterpieces from a broke up band. What was your thoughts on the Dio era stuff? Do you dig it?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, my whole thing is like, it's amazing the breakup of Sabbath, how many lives that affected. What I'm just saying, like, I mean, even down to me, and then all the guys in Black Label. I'm just saying we're here because of that breakup. Because what I'm just saying is, then the Randy that we know, we would have never known because he would have been in Quiet Riot. So the legendary guy that we knew would have never been given that platform to shine. That, you know, I mean, like all those songs, Diary of a Madman, you know, Revelation, Mother Earth, all the things that Randy brought to the table, that Ozzy was able to put him on the biggest stage that he could put him on and have him excel and be the greatest Randy Rhoads that he could be. And then you had Ronnie ends up with Geezer and Tony and Bill, and like they make these 2 masterpieces. And then Ronnie goes on to have a solo career. And then you would have never known about Vivian Campbell. And you would have never known about all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we would have never known about Jake. And we would have never known, and Jake would have never formed Badlands. And then, you know what I'm saying? So the trajectory of all these lives being affected by Black Sabbath breaking up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it really is pretty mind blowing. And then even we were talking about Quiet Riot.
Yeah.
By Randy leaving Quiet Riot, that was the best thing that could have ever happened to Kevin DeBro. You know what I'm saying? Because Bang Your Head was written after Randy had left.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, so like Kevin had all that massive success because Randy left. You know what I mean? And Carlos came in the band. So what I'm just saying is, like, they're just Black Sabbath breaking up, all those lives were affected. You know what I mean? And just went on. Yeah, it really, I mean, when you just looking back and sitting back and looking at the big picture of it, of how many people's lives were affected and altered because of Sabbath breaking up and forming those 2 bands. Yeah.
It's like a fucking heavy metal tree that just grew all kinds of limbs. It's just crazy.
And like, you think about it, it was the best thing that could have happened to Sabbath and the best thing that could have happened to Ozzy. Because when you listen to those 2, you know, the 4 recordings between Blizzard and Diary and Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, it sounds like you just hit the reset button on creativity on all of them. You know what I mean? On Geezer and Tony and Bill and Ozzy. Like, their creative juices were just completely reset and reborn again.
I think the most insane thing about this, look, Sabbath had played together for years, but to have instant chemistry of those guys to write Diary and Blizzard, I'm talking about guys that didn't know each other 2 weeks before that and get in a room. You know how that is, Zakk. That never works. You're like, just get in there and write with these guys, see if it works. The chemistry to have these 2 fucking records by strangers blows my head off every time I think about it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
God.
And then, you know, and then for it to work with Ronnie meeting the guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because Tony Iommi turns into a different player once Ronnie's in. He's the sound's different. It's more violent.
Yeah, it was definitely, like I said, it just sounded like everything sounded fresh and new on both sides, you know, with Tony and Geezer and Bill and with Ozzy being with the guys. So it just sounded like a brand new beginning for both bands. Totally.
Once you join Ozzy, do you have the bullseye on the guitar, or do you put that on before? Was that your thing?
No, I wanted to have the Vertigo from the Alfred Hitchcock movie Vertigo. I wanted to have like that poster art.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I wanted to have that put on the guitar, and I brought it down this guy Max that worked off of Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, the guy that makes the Les Pauls, Max.
Yeah, Max.
Oh, yeah. Love him.
Max ended up did paint jobs too. And I was like, Max, can you put like the Vertigo logo on? He was like, yeah, Zakk, I can do it. I said, well, I need it because I'm doing a photo shoot for the guitar magazines, that I'm Ozzy's guitar player and all this other stuff. And he goes, all right, no problem. I'll get it done. So like I go back to get the guitar and I open it up and it's a bullseye. I go, Max, this is a bullseye. I wanted the Vertigo. He's like, I fucked up. I don't tell you. so that was it, man. So yes, I was like, well, I guess I'll do the photo shoot with the bullseye. So, but and here we are, 30 plus years later. So it's just like now I got my own guitar company, and then we're doing the Vertigos now. So there you go.
I love your new guitars, which, by the way, my buddy Billy Rowe from Rock and Roll Relics said to say hi. He builds these great guitars, and
tell him I said hey, man.
Yeah, he's in Buck Cherry now. So anyway, he and I were looking at your guitar line a couple of years ago, and I just love this. Now I know that it's a genius idea of like why play and endorse a brand when you can make your own brand and make the dream version of what you want. Let's talk a little bit about how this starts, because I saw the unveiling at the NAMM show when it happened.
Well, no, I mean, it was just me and Blasco talking about it, because like Blasco's, my brethren O'Doom over there and business partner and everything like that. So like me and Blasco were just talking about it. And for me, it's just a natural progression, no different than me playing with Ozzy. I couldn't be treated any better, and I have all the freedom in the world as a guitarist. But if you want to be doing the singing and you want to write lyrics and you want to be involved with the production and the mixes and the artwork and create, then you're going to have to get your own apartment. You know what I mean? But it's just like me and you, Derek Jeter playing for the Yankees, then Derek Jeter managing the Yankees, then Derek Jeter being vice president of operations, GM. The only next logical step for Derek Jeter is to be a team owner.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he'll be like the Yankees had Mr. Steinbrenner. I couldn't be treated any better. But like the only next logical step for him to go to, now that you're a team owner, now me and you can talk about, we're going to put, condos in the stadium and make it a living, breathing thing. We're going to put movie theaters in here, restaurants. We're going to have, so when the games aren't being played, people are still here, aside of concerts and everything. I'm just saying it's a gigantic mall.
Right.
You know what I mean? So people are here regardless whether the Yankees are playing or not, whether it's baseball season or not. It's a living, breathing community. You know what I mean? And so and me and you are involved now with trades, everything, trades, the farm system. Like every little thing down to the way the grass is mowed on the field. Me and you it's our thing. So, that's, kind of like what Black Label is. So, doing Wild Audio guitars, I'll draw out the guitars the way I want to do them and make it out, mix mash this kind of guitar. It's like, it'd be cool if we took this and that guitar and took a little bit of this one cool guitar that I did, put them in a blender and then come out with another, you know what I mean? And there you go. We take a classic design, whether like the Explorer, and then tweak it a bit and put a horn over here and then this over here, change the headstock. And then it's just like, now we got a Blood Eagle. So, I love it. I wouldn't change it for anything.
I love the SGV, dude. What a fucking evil design.
Oh, yeah, the Warhammer. Yeah, totally.
Oh,
so,
God.
Yeah, but it just, and like I said, I still have relationships with everybody over at Gibson. I always had, and I couldn't be treated any better over there. And I love being there, you know what I mean? Because all my heroes played Les Paul. So, or Gibsons, you know what I mean? So, like you said, I still have all my guitars and everything like that. They're just retired, you know what I mean? So now it's just a matter of us building our own little empire.
Do you have any vintage guitars, pre-'80s? Because I know the Southern Flag one. That was the one you played on the Leonard Skinhead tour. That thing was amazing with the bottle caps in it and everything.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It always blew my mind. I was like, that's the best guitar I've ever seen right there. But do you have any vintage stuff? Do you collect vintage amps and stuff?
No, I have I have like the old ones I have. Ozzy gave me I have a 57 Junior, like Leslie West played.
Right.
And Oz got me that for like my 21st birthday. And I was just like, he was like, Zakk, when we opened up for Mountain when we came to America. He goes, Leslie just had the coolest tone. And I remember he played one of these, but Zakk, that's what he played. So Ozzy got me that for my birthday. And then I ended up getting, when we were doing Osmosis, we were right on 48th Street, the studio. Me and Michael Barnhorn were renting guitars when we were doing that record. Mike ended up buying me as a gift. He got me a 58 double cutaway Burgundy Junior 58.
Oh, cool.
Les Paul signed the back of it. So I have that guy. And then I also during those sessions, I bought a 65 SG with a whammy. So I've used it on certain recordings, but I mean, like obviously now I use all my stuff, all the Wild Audio stuff. And then, it just, I just always thought that was like amusing. Like you endorse something, but you don't use it.
Yeah, that's hilarious, right?
I was just like, why don't you just tell them to make you what you want?
Yeah. Made no sense to me.
We'll make you whatever you want. Just tell us what you want, man. Funny, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I do love the P90 sound, man. There's nothing gnarlier than P90 through like a 4-input deluxe tweed Fender. It's just, Neil Young.
Yeah, totally. It's just, it definitely has its own unique sound for sure, the P90s.
I saw you a couple of years ago. Actually, I was going to do some comedy at the Viper Room before you guys went on when you did Zakk Sabbath.
Oh, Zakk Sabbath, yeah.
Yeah, I went to the show. That night it was 105 in LA. Remember that?
I think it was 108.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. And we're inside the goddamn Viper Room, and it was a furnace, man.
No, it was toasty, man, for sure.
It was crazy, dude. But you and I were out at that Rock on the Range, that Metallica headline. I did comedy in the tent there. And then
very cool.
I rolled over. I know Joey C quite well and watched you guys. I sat on the stage about 2 feet from you. And I got to tell you, man, even 2 years ago, it's unbelievable how incredible you are on the guitar and singing and playing these riffs, and your full impact up there of just kicking ass. It's outrageous how good it is.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, brother. I put that all on the prenatal vitamins I take. And I just give it full credit to the prenatals, bro. It just brings out the best.
Still no booze? Still no booze for you?
No, I haven't had a drink now in probably 12 years, something like that. Awesome. I think the 25th, I think my wife just reminded me that, this is the anniversary that you didn't have a drink. I think the 25th or something like that. But no, once I got the blood clots, but it was funny because the doctor, I told him, I was like, Doc, man, I got these blood clots. Does it mean I got to chill out on the drink? And he goes, this is when I was 42 because I'm 54 now. So he was just like, well, no, Zakk, he goes, I'm not. He goes, all you'll be doing if you keep drinking. He goes, you're just putting blood thinner on blood thinner, And then, but he asked me, he goes, Zakk, do you know did your parents have this genetically? Blood clots or whatever. I go, well, both my parents were in God's Tavern, so I wouldn't know, Doc. And he just goes, because he goes, I don't know how to answer this. I tell you this as a doctor, but all your years of heavy drinking may have saved your life by thinning your blood. Wow. And I just told Barbara Ann at that point, I go, see, honey, drinking is good for something. And she did. And she just punched me in the mouth after that. And that was about it. So, so anyways, there was no laughter there. But the doctor he told me, he goes, Zakk, I'm not telling you you're going to die like a week from now or 2 months from now or a year from now. I'm telling you right now, if you keep drinking the way you tell me you drink, I'm just saying, when you're 42, you'll have to have a liver transplant before you're 45. Because I'm looking at your liver enzymes and your pancreas. And he goes, like, I'm just telling you, Zakk, guys, either if you get a liver transplant, we're getting better with that. And he goes, but it's still a pain in the ass. And he goes, the pancreas isn't too far behind from your liver. And he goes, Zakk, guys either die on the table or they die a week later, but they don't leave here. Or you can just, as you're looking at me right now, just walk out of here, never have another drink again. You'll be fine. Yeah. You can just listen to your, just fondle your genitals, listen to your Led Zeppelin records, and play with your dog, and you'll be fine. I was like, oh, man. I go, that's door number 3. He goes, yeah. I go, oh, I definitely love Led Zeppelin. I definitely enjoy fondling my genitals. And of course, I love my dogs. He goes, yeah, well, then go with door number 3, So, yeah, I've been in door number 3 ever since, I mean? Just smashing myself until I'm legless and listening to Zeppelin and hanging out with the dogs. But I mean, no, I haven't had nothing. I mean, somebody was like, what are you going to do when you get out on the road?
Yeah.
I love and everyone drinking.
I love when they say that. No one drinks anymore, though.
And they go, do you have a good support team around you? I go, yeah. I asked the guys, I said, what do you think, fellas? And they go, well, look at it this way, Zachy. We lost a drinking partner, but we gained a designated driver. And so we'll be at the Irish pub. Come pick us up in about 5 hours. We'll see you in a bit, bro. I was like, yeah, that's the guys. You know what I mean? So, no, it's no big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
it's not a big deal. I quit in 92. And as corny as it sounds, I fucking feel better than ever. I'm 55, I'm like, God.
Yeah, well, I mean, put it this way. I mean, it's just like, it isn't, it was great when you were doing it. We had a great time and it was a lot of fun. And now it's just, we're still having a great time and everything's awesome. So, I mean, I just figured we'd be, it'd be me and you drinking until we're like Lemmy. We're 70 years old and we're still drinking. You know what I mean? So but like you said, it's like, well, because somebody asked me, they were like, oh, Zakk, would you go to rehabs and talk to these kids or what? I go and tell them what? I go, this is it. This is the Black Label Rehab. Have a good time. When it starts getting in the way, you ruin the world. It's over. That's it. Done. All right. Goodbye. I'll see you guys later. Have good luck with everything and take care of yourselves. That's pretty much it, man.
That is it. I remember one of the last times we hung out. You don't remember it, but we were at the Van Halen rehearsal at the LA Forum. You remember that?
Yeah. God. Totally. And then I remember we were getting hammered in the front. And I remember like Ed was up there. Went to go say high five Ed.
Yeah.
And then Dave goes, I don't know who you are. He goes, but unless you're in show business, get the fuck off my stage.
Yeah, I remember
Dude, that just added more to the comedy for the evening. I mean, we were crying, laughing. But I mean, yeah, Van Halen sounded great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, that was probably, that was near the end. I think of the drinking shenanigans, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was a lot of fun that night though, man.
God damn, that was crazy. Just like 200 of us in the LA Forum watching the return of David Lee Roth and they're playing Fair Warning and shit. And we were just like,
it was great.
This is nuts. Oh, fuck.
Totally, man.
Where are you at? You still out in Valencia?
Yep. Still out in Cali, man. You know what I mean? So I remember, like I said, came out here when I started playing with the boss. We were working on No Rest and Barbara Ann came out. And I remember she goes, we're definitely moving out here. But I was like, but I like New Jersey. And she goes, well, you can stay in New Jersey. I'm coming out here. You know what I mean? So that was it. So been out here ever since, bro. So,
You ever thought of moving out of here after when COVID happened and people were getting crazy, or you're a Cali for life?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm easy. I mean, I could live in the Jersey Shore. I could live in Idaho. I could live in Portland. I could live in Chicago. I think, anywhere. I mean, I'm easy, man. You know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, I got to live. So, I mean, because whenever we tour around the world, we'll just be like, we'll be sitting around having coffee. I mean, we could be in Paris. I mean, and just like hanging out. I'm like, Dean, can you live here, bro? You're like, Zakk, I could definitely live here. You know what I mean? There could be other places where you go, I could definitely visit here. I don't know if I could live here. You know what I mean? There's like certain places that we go to, but I mean, or you're just like, Zakk, it's too hot. I couldn't live here, or it's too cold, whatever. But I'm easy. I could live pretty much anywhere, man. You know what I mean? I don't have a preference where I got to live. I mean, like I love New York City. I love being out here. The weather's great. I mean, every time we're in Portland, cruising around the coffee houses, going to Powell Books or whatever. I'm like, dude, this is great out here. You know what I mean?
I love Portland.
Yeah. So, I mean, and whenever we go to Chi-Town, I always have a great time when I'm in Chicago. I got to be honest with you. I mean, pretty, like you said, I'm easy, man.
Let's talk about the new record. And I listened to it, man. It's really good. It's really good. And what's this song? Made Me Want to Live. Man, that's got kind of a No Chord or Trower vibe on their Bridges Sigh. I really like this song.
It's got, with the guitar with the flanger on it and stuff like that. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So where'd you guys do the record? Did you do it at your house? You got a studio at your house?
No different than, I mean, ever since Order of the Black in 2010 to now, we make all the Black Label Flavor Country donuts here and box them up and ship them out. So yeah, and the writing, I mean, the only thing we do now is just instead of even having the guys come out and do this stuff, I'll just record everything before they even get out here. Double try. So everything you hear on that record was pretty much already done before the guys got out here, except for like maybe actually right near the end. I guess we did Set You Free and I think Forever and a Day. I ended up writing that right before, I had the guys come back out and then we did some more. But I mean, I'll track it all. Then Jeffy will listen to it and go, all right, well, where are we coming in or whatever? Like You Made Me Want to Live. It's just like, no, we'll have this part. There'll be a vocal on it. Then and then we all kick in, with the heavy bit.
Yeah.
So, and then, Jeff will just like listen to it a couple times, play air drums to it, go straight in there and just let me play along to it and then play along and go, all right, press record. Let me knock this out. Boom, drums done, next song, so, I mean, Jeff was pretty much done with the drums in a matter of a couple of days, man, not even.
This one's more of like a 2 lead guitar record.
Yeah, totally.
Which I absolutely love that.
That's just the evolution. I mean, because people were like, oh, why is it 2? I mean, it's just 2014 when we did the Catacombs record, I started doing harmonies and stuff like that. So you're going to need 2 guys like the Allman Brothers or Thin Lizzy or, like a 2 guitar player band, Judas Priest or whatever, where there's parts, and more, having Dario in the band, I'd go, Dario, why don't you join the party on this one? I go, why don't we double the solo on Suicide Messiah, double it on this part and Stillborn, double, songs that have been in the set. And obviously when I'm playing piano, Dario's doing all the guitar work anyways.
Right.
So with this record, there was just more harmony bits. And then I said, like, let's just extend the solos. And so, if it's not a solo that I composed all the way through, that I was just like, Dario, like, Set You Free. And actually You Made Me Want to Live. I wrote those. I had the solos written almost kind of like, like That Smell, like Skinner or whatever. But I wanted it like Steve Gaines and Gary, where they trade off on the solos. So, but I mean, aside of that, the rest of it, it's like, Dario, have at it. Just write whatever you want to write on the thing. You know what I mean? And he would just knock it out and we'd ship it to his studio in Vegas, the dark chapel he's got over there. And then we got the Black Vatican over here. So, yeah, Dario would just go, all right, Zakk, let me just listen to it for a second. And he'd write whatever he had to write and ship it back. And I go, great, knock it out of the park. So, yeah, I'm really happy with the way the thing came out.
When is it coming out?
Black Friday, November 26th.
Rad. Black Friday.
Exactly. I mean, that was all fun. That's Blasco over there, So, but I mean, like None More Black, whatever the box set. What are we going to call the box, the box set? None More Black. I mean, come on, that's pretty obvious,
Yeah. Where are you at with Ozzy right now? If he goes out touring again, will you be touring with him?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, so I mean, the dates are still up there and everything like that. And Oz is still, he's still doing all his therapy and working out, we got to get his, his bench, his squat, and his deadlift numbers back up to the way, his world-class record numbers, get him back on the lifting platform again so he can shatter all his previous records. But no, we were having a great time on the tour until he got hurt. Yeah. I mean, the last gig we did was was New Year's Eve at the Forum,
right,
with Rob Zombie, and we had all these bands. It was like an Ozfest day. Zakk Sabbath played on it in the afternoon in the parking lot, and then me and Blasco got up there with the boss at the end of the day. So, but like Oz and Mom, Mrs. O was talking about, maybe we'll do this every year. You know what I mean? Like, whether we do it in LA, like, we could do it in Seattle next year, whatever, do it in Dallas or whatever, the parking lot and then the big gig at the end of the night, So, yeah, I mean, Oz was having a blast until he messed himself up.
Right. God, brutal, man. Brutal getting old. We just lost Charlie Watts. We lost Eddie this year. I mean, that was brutal, just
totally. I agree, man. All these, I mean, legendary cats.
Yeah,
I agree.
The longer we live, we're at that age where guys are older than us, and it's like, damn it, man, it fucking hurts. It doesn't get any easier,
Yeah, I completely agree, man.
I had Jack Blades on a few days ago from
And
Night
Jack's
Rain.
awesome.
Yeah, he's
totally.
great. What a songwriter too. But when Brad, I knew Brad growing up as a kid, growing up in the Bay Area. But it's funny to think about Brad getting that spot in with Ozzy once Randy's gone. When you think about it, Jeff Watson, man, that might have been a cool fit,
Oh, Jeff being in the band. Yeah, no, I know he's saying, even though, but I mean, Brad, on that Speak of the Devil record, he killed it, man.
Oh, he killed it.
He really did, man. I mean, Brad played his ass off on that one. I mean, I saw Bernie Torme.
Oh, wow. You saw that?
Yes, I did. And I got a chance to, before Bernie passed away, we saw him at a festival, and Bernie went backstage and he was hanging out with Ozzy. And that was the first time they'd seen each other since like probably Bernie was in the band.
Wow.
Him and Ozzy were catching up, but I got a chance to tell Bernie, like, I saw you that night because we were all going to see Randy and we were all heartbroken that Randy passed away.
Right.
And I go, and he was like, oh, Zakk, man, I remember that show. And I go, yeah, we saw you at the Garden. And I go, you made everybody, it was like Randy's spirit was in the room that night. I said, you killed it. I said, because we all love Randy and everybody in that building. And I said, I still remember like it was yesterday. And I told him, I said, I got chills that night, because they opened up with Over the Mountain and everything like that. And it's like, that's the test right there.
Right.
With the big guitar solo in it and everything like that. And we were just like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So
I saw Randy a few times, one at the Oakland Dam, the Green at 10:45.
Oh, yeah. That was the big one.
Oh,
yeah. July 4th.
Fucking saw that shit, dude. I was 10 feet away from that, man. Look, I got goosebumps right now because no matter what. And then I saw him on the Diary tour at the Cowpass the night before New Year's Eve, and the hand broke and they couldn't do the encore.
So it was like a big nightmare, right?
Yeah. It's like a total Spinal Tap. The hand broke and they're like, oh, no encores. And we're like, what? But Randy was the guitars, man. That fucking Concorde just took over the world. The polka dotted V, his black and white Marshall amps, his playing, his look, his vest, his pedal board, his boots, everything about this man was pure rock and roll, man.
Totally, man. Without a doubt. And it's great now that, Rand got honored in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. I mean, we already know he's already in it. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
But no, it's great that he's, that he's being honored. You know what I mean? He's getting recognized. I mean, you ask any guitar player, everyone loves Randy. You know what I mean? Everyone knows he's already a Hall of Famer. We already know that.
Yeah. I can't thank you enough for talking to me, and it's an honor to have you on, dude. And you have rocked me for years, and I absolutely love your playing, man. I've loved your music. I love your guitar tone. Everything about you is great, and I'm glad you're alive. And rocking. I'm looking forward to Black Friday and hearing this new record.
My brother. Well, hopefully, now where you at right now? You up in San Fran?
No, dude. I live in LA for the last 21 years.
Okay, so you're out here. Well, hopefully we'll see you when we're back around here, man. Next time Black Label's around, just keep in touch with Father Blasco.
If you want to come see some comedy too, let me know. I'm at the Comedy Store all the time, and I tour with Bill Burr. And you into comedy?
Of course, you can't. Whenever me and Barb go out to, the Comedy Store, the comedy club, or what, it's always a good night out. It's never like, wow, that was terrible. I mean, it's always, people you've never even heard of before. You're like, dude, it was friggin' hilarious, man. You know what I mean? It's always a good time.
Come as my guest anytime at the store. I'll put you and your lady and your friends on the list, and come down and enjoy a night.
Without a doubt, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, my brother.
I love you, brother. And congrats
right back at
on
you, man.
All right, man.
Bye, my brother.
See ya.